Hey guys, how's it going? So today we're going to be going over my most recent song. I did this a little bit on last week's live stream, but we're going to go over it even more today. So the song is called Serene Journey, and it uses fingerpicking in the style of like a guitar player or like a ukulele player would fingerpick. So we're just going to be going through that today, kind of go over the technique first and apply it to the song. So normally when we play bass, we're going to be plucking with our fingers like this over the top. It's almost kind of like, for me, they're kind of almost perpendicular to things when I'm playing. Maybe a little bit more like that, but mostly perpendicular to the strings. And when guitar players and ukulele players fingerpick, they do it a little bit differently. They have their hand almost kind of at this angle. So it's almost diagonal to the strings, not quite perpendicular. And so then it's like your thumb can play notes too. And then when your fingers pluck, they almost pluck a little bit at an angle. You don't want too much at an angle, especially if you have fingernails that you haven't cut. But like I do. But you kind of pluck a little bit more like that rather than straight up and down, if that makes sense. So that's the kind of technique we're going to be using. So the first thing we want to do is just get comfortable with what the right hand is doing here. So try doing this a little bit. Play with your thumb, and then your pointer finger and your middle finger. So you can just pick strings to play on. I like doing the A string with my thumb, the D string with my pointer finger, and the G string with my middle finger. And that's kind of what I did for this song. So you can kind of just practice doing that. Just practice going thumb, index, middle on the A string, the D string, and the G string. They're like assigned to that string. So first, just do them in an order like that. Thumb, index, middle, thumb, index, middle. Then maybe try to change it up a little bit. Try doing middle, index, thumb. So you've got it going downward or up in pitch, and then backwards. And then try doing them out of order. Try doing thumb, middle, then index. So that'd be the A string, G string, D string. And just thinking groupings of 3 for now. So now we've got ways to group in 3. Then your right hand could just play a chord. So for now, we'll just pick the first chord of the song, and we'll do the 7th fret on the A string, the 5th fret on the D string, and the 7th fret on the G string. Try all those different finger combinations on this. And then out of order. So once again, that was thumb, index, middle, thumb, index, middle. Then backwards, middle, index, thumb, middle, index, thumb. And you want to have very controlled motion. Try to move just a tiny bit. And then I'm also holding all 3 of those notes down. So 7th fret on the A string, 5th fret on the D string, and 7th fret on the G string. I'm just holding those down with my fingers the entire time so that the notes will out. And then I'm letting the note out. So my hand's kind of floating after I play the notes. I don't know if you can see my right hand here. But it's kind of like after playing, my fingers end up just barely off of the string, even though they might have started touching. So that's the idea of the finger picking technique. So now we're going to apply it to the song. Somebody let me know if the chat is working. If you said something in the chat and I haven't responded, it's because it's already not working. So I'm going to pull that up on here, but if no one said anything, please say hello. I'm just going to pull that up, and then we'll get back into the song. So now that we have that technique, we need to apply it to a grouping of 4 instead of a grouping of 3. So in order to do that, we need to pick a pattern.
Let's go.
Oops. Or we need to listen to an ad on here. So basically what we could do, okay, it looks like the chat's just not working. Thanks, you guys. I see you guys now. Oh, very cool. Hi, Seth. Hi, Bree. Hope y'all are doing well. So we've got our finger picking patterns. that work for groupings of 3. But if we wanted to do a grouping of 4, we might have to do something more like, well, let me pause this real quick. Like thumb, middle, index, middle, something that rounds it off. And let's do it with that chord that we were doing before, that E minor 7, 7th fret on the A string, 5th fret on the D string, 7th fret on the G string. So you could do that. And I think in this one, I do something a little bit different. I do a thumb in between each note. So it's thumb, middle, thumb, index. Get used to doing that. Thumb, middle, thumb, index. Thumb, middle, thumb, index. Slower. Oh, hey, Alan. All right. So thank you guys all for tuning in. So once we got that finger picking pattern down, this is when we apply it to the song. So I'm just going to play the first little bit of it and kind of get you guys through that. So here's the first part. So the finger picking pattern is a little bit different, but it's the basic idea that we were doing there, just kind of applying it to all these things. Bree says, your hair is so long now. Yes, it is. And when I take a shower, you can actually tell, like right after I take a shower, which I did. I don't like spray my hair with anything. This is just water. But anyway, back to this. I'm getting sidetracked. So what we're going to do for this finger picking pattern, we're going to do that chord that we already have. And we're going to do thumb, index, thumb, middle, thumb. So thumb, index, thumb, middle, thumb is the first part of it. So, and then after that, we have to change the note on one of the strings. So we keep these fingers held down, and our pinky is going to play the 9th fret on the G string. So we got thumb, index, thumb, middle, thumb. Then we've got the 9th fret on the G string with our middle finger on the right hand. So A string, D string, A string, G string, A string, G string with the 9th fret. And then, of course, we hit a thumb after that, because we're hitting a thumb in between pretty much every note in the song. And then we hit an index finger, which is the 5th fret on the D string after that. So it's already down. We're already holding those notes down. So let's see. So yeah, so the first measure is just those 8th notes, those 8 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So let's try that together. Once again, I'm just going to say the fret names so that we've got that. 7th fret A string, 5th fret D string, 7th fret A string, 7th fret G string, 7th fret A string, 9th fret G string, 7th fret A string, and then 7th fret on the G string. Okay, and the second measure is very similar. So it doesn't have the 9th fret in there, so it's a little bit easier. This is going to be 7th fret on the A string, 5th fret on the D string, 7th fret on the A string, 7th fret on the G string, 7th A string, 7th fret on the G string again, 7th fret on the A string, and ending on the 5th fret on the D string. So that second measure once again. Let's play that one together. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So now let's put the first 2 measures together, since this is everything on this chord, and then we'll be changing chord patterns after that. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So that's kind of the idea. If you get those first 2 measures down, you've really got an advantage on having that finger picking pattern. So that's really the main thing, is just getting through that part. Hey, Robert, how's it going? Oh, wow. 2 weeks in Maine. That's awesome. I just got back from New Mexico. So now that we've got that, what I'd recommend is just play that until it's really comfortable under your fingers, because that pattern kind of gets used again. Next part, just with a different chord. So, by the way, if you're a visual learner and you really want to have the notes in front of you, Tuesday's video was this song, and I had the tabs halfway through the video. So what you could do is open that up in a separate tab halfway through the video and pause it right at the beginning of the playback of the song. And then that way you can kind of follow along and then just move it forward as we go. That might help too. And that works for anybody watching. Okay. So then we go to a D7 chord. So this is going to be 5th fret on the A string, 4th fret on the D string, and 5th fret on the G string. And we're going to do a very similar finger picking pattern. So the third measure is just, right? So that's 5th fret on the D string, 4th fret on the, sorry, let me say that right. This is going to be 5th fret on the A string, 4th fret on the D string, 5th fret on the A string, 5th fret on the G string, 5th fret on the A string, 7th fret on the G string with our pinky, then 5th fret on the A, and then 5th fret on the G string after that. So I'm going to say it one more time just in case I said anything out of order. 5th fret on the A string, 4th fret on the D string, 5th fret on the A string, 5th fret on the G string, 5th fret on the A string, 7th fret on the G string, 5th fret on the A string, 5th fret on the G string. So let's do that real quick. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Right, I think I kept going by accident. So that last note we hadn't gone over, but it was just a 5th fret on the A string. So the next measure sounds like this. So let's see. There it is. So that's going to be the 5th fret on the A string, 4th fret on the D string, 5th fret on the A string, 5th fret on the G string, on the A string, 4th fret on the D string. Let me make sure I said that right. 5th fret on the A string, 4th fret on the D string, 5th fret on the A string, 5th fret on the G string, 5th fret on the A string, 4th fret on the G string, 5th fret on the A string, and 4th fret on the D string. So it's a little bit weird. All right, so let's see. The video quality isn't great. It's hard to see. Is that true for everybody, or is that just one or two people? Because the playback on mine looks pretty good. Let me check on here to see if it's the video or if it's that. Okay, I'm not sure what's going on because over here on my computer it's showing me that it's crystal clear, and on here it's not. You may want to check the quality and see if it lowered the quality. It says the auto is 360p, but you might be able to change it to the higher picture quality. At least on a phone, you have the option to do higher picture quality, so that might be why. I think people with the playback won't have this issue, but hopefully that'll help a little bit. It might just be a internet connection thing. So it's very pixely for everybody. Okay. Well, I don't know what to tell you guys because on my computer it's showing me it crystal clear, so I'm not sure what to do to fix that. So I apologize. It says 480p. Okay. Well, I'm sorry that it's pixelated. I'll try to sit closer so you guys can see a little bit better, but I'm not really sure what's going on because, like I said, my computer is showing me that it's all right. Yeah, and I have it plugged in through Ethernet, so that's not the issue either. All right. Well, I apologize for the pixelatedness, but I guess I'll just try to sit a little bit closer and hopefully you guys can see a little bit better if I do that. Is that any better? Anyway, I'm going to keep going. So hopefully we can get through that. Hopefully that'll help a little bit. Okay, and then some people, Enoch, ENOC, says, no big deal. My fingers can't keep up anyway. So you're saying, no, that's worse. Okay. Well, guys, I'm sorry. I don't have any control over it. So I apologize that I don't have any control over that. My computer is lying to me about what it's showing to you guys, or it's YouTube. Okay. So let's go back to the song. We were at measure 4. I'm going to go over that one again since that's kind of where we're at. The 5th fret on the A string, 4th fret on the D string, 5th fret on the A string, 5th fret on the G string, 5th fret on the A string, 4th fret on the G string, 5th fret on the A string, and 4th fret on the D string. So let's do that together. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So that was measure 4. Now we're going to do measure 3 and 4 together. Like I said, if you wanted to, my Tuesday video was the song. So if it'll help you out, you can open up that video, pull it to about halfway through the video where the tab is on the screen. And then that way you can follow along there. If it's hard to see, especially, that might help. And then we'll do, I'm going to try something and see if this helps at all. What if I crank up the light? Does that make it less pixely or worse? So anyway, just let me know if it's worse. If it's worse, I'll move it back. So let's do measures 3 and 4. So this is going to sound like. Oh, I also want to mention kind of what I'm doing there on that measure. So measure 4, when we're doing the 4th fret, sometimes the 4th fret is on the D string and sometimes it's on the G string. When it's on the G string, you have to lift up the finger that was playing that was holding down the 5th fret on the G string. So I was using my ring finger for that note. So when I play the 4th fret on the G string, I kind of roll my pointer finger to get the other note and then roll it back and then put the other finger back down when it's time to play the other notes. Okay. So let's see. So we've got that. I'm just going to keep going. Let's play that one more time. Measure 3 and measure 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay. And then measure 5, we're going to be doing a C major chord. So it's going to be 3rd fret, 3rd fret on the A string, 2nd fret on the D string, and the open G string. So we're going to be using these other fingers to play notes on the G string during this measure, but that's basically what we'll do. So this is measure 5. I'll just play it for you. 5 and 6. Okay, so that's going to be the 3rd fret on the A string, 2nd fret on the D string, 3rd fret on the A string, the open G string, 3rd fret on the A string, 2nd fret on the G string, 3rd fret on the A string, 4th fret on the G string. So that's kind of just doing this little melody. Is with the 3rd fret on the A string in between those notes. Okay, so once again, because I also know that it's hard to see, I'm just going to go over the finger picking part one more time in case people weren't watching from the beginning. Basically, your thumb is going to get the A string notes on the right hand. Your pointer finger is going to get all the D string notes. And then your middle finger on the plucking hand is going to get all the G string notes. So anytime I say those strings, you're also getting the information for the right hand too. Okay, so back to this. Measure 5, start on the 3rd fret on the A string. We're going to play the 2nd fret on the D string, then the 3rd fret on the A string, then the open G string, then 3rd fret on the A string, then 2nd fret on the G string, 3rd fret on the A string, and 4th fret on the G string. Okay, so let's play that together. 1 and 2, a little bit slower, and 3 and 4 and. So just so you guys know, on my fretting hand, I'm playing the 3rd fret on the A string with my middle finger, the 2nd fret on the D string with my pointer finger, and then I move the pointer finger to get some of these other notes, to get the 2nd fret on the G string when we get to it, and then my pinky is the one that's actually getting the 4th fret on the G string. 2nd, 4th. So that way I'm able to leave the 3rd fret on the A string down while I'm moving those other fingers around it. If this is hard at first, you may just want to let your fingers up and play a staccato version, which sounds more like. But if you can leave your hand down, it lets the notes ring out, and it sounds kind of nice as long as you have the EQ set right. And on this song, I would also turn the bass down a little bit extra, not up. And then the treble and the mids, you might want to turn up a little bit just so you get a brighter tone so it's not quite as muddy. Okay, so after we've got that, we've got measure 6. And this one's kind of the one exception to the rule of we're not hitting a thumb note in between everything. So we have 2 notes in a row without the thumb and then in that one. So let's go over this. 3rd fret on the A string, 2nd fret on the G string, then the open G string. So both those notes are on the G string. I use my middle finger to pluck both of those. So let's go from the beginning of the measure again, just to recap. 3rd fret on the A string, 2nd fret on the G string, open G string, 3rd fret on the A string, 2nd fret on the D string, D as in dog, 3rd fret on the A string, the open G string, then the 3rd fret on the A string. So I'm going to play it for you, and then we'll play it together. So here we go. Sorry, my finger made that buzz. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So let's play measures 5 and 6. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, and then now we're on measure 7 and 8. This is called the first ending. So if you're looking at the tabs, there'll be a little bar across the top, a little bracket with a 1 underneath it, above all of this. And that's just saying the first time through, we're going to play this part. Then when we go and repeat all of this, the second time through, we're going to skip over the first ending and just go right to the second ending. In case you haven't seen that before, just wanted to mention that. So this one's probably the weirdest with the finger positions. So I'm going to play that again. You can kind of watch what my fingers are doing. I know it's pixelated, but I think you can still tell which frets I'm on. Use the dots to help guide you, and I think that'll help a little bit. Okay, so. So I'm kind of just using my pointer finger, middle finger, and ring finger on my fretting hand. And I'm starting with the 5th fret on the A string, and I'm using my ring finger for that one. Kind of a weird finger to use, but it'll make sense kind of as we go. So I play the 5th fret on the A string, then the open D string, D as in dog, then the 5th fret on the A string again, then the open G string, 5th fret on the A string, 2nd fret on the G string, and I'm stretching my finger out and using my pointer finger there. Because we have the open D string ringing out from earlier, you might be able to just let go of the other note if your finger won't stretch that far. You might be able to let go of the ring finger note and then go back to it afterwards. Whoops. But I just leave it down and just kind of put up with the fact that it hurts a little bit to stretch. You could also use your pinky. It might actually be more comfortable for you guys if you're comfortable using your pinky, doing the 5th fret on the A string with your pinky, and then doing that 2nd fret on the G string with your pointer finger. Okay, so we'll go back to it. 5th fret on the A string. I'm just going to recap, and I'm going to do it this way this time because I think it's more comfortable on the hand if you can do it. 5th fret on the A string, open D string, 5th fret on the A string, open G string, 5th fret on the A string, 2nd fret on the G string, 5th fret on the A string, and 4th fret on the D string. So let's do that together. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay. And I kind of let them ring out as much as possible. The next measure is going to sound like this. So that's going to be 5th fret on the A string, open G string, 5th fret on the A string, 2nd fret on the G string, 5th fret on the A string, 4th fret on the G string, 5th fret on the A string, and 4th fret on the G string. So for me, this is really uncomfortable using the pinky for the 5th fret on the A string and the 4th fret on the G string with the ring finger. So you can kind of see that, hopefully, if it doesn't get too pixelated. And that's why I tend to use my ring finger and my middle finger. That's more comfortable for me than using my pinky and my ring finger for those notes. So just a thought there. Hopefully that can kind of help you guys out there. But either way you do it, it works. It just depends on if you want to wear out your pointer finger or if you want to wear out your pinky. Okay. So let's do measure 7 and 8. Well, let's just do measure 8 by itself. 3 and 4 and. So let's do measure 7 and 8. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Let me do it faster. It sounds more like this. Okay. And then from there, I think the trick is getting from that part back to the beginning of the piece. So we do that. That shift is a really big shift, hard to do smooth. You're probably going to get some string noise on that shift, so just kind of bear with it. But going back from this right into this. So it's like we've got to go from whatever finger was pushing down the 5th fret on the G string and whatever finger was pushing down the 4th fret on the G string. Sorry, 5th fret on the A string, 4th fret on the G string, to getting our middle finger back to the 7th fret on the A string. And then having our other fingers get back into that E minor 7 shape, which is the 7th fret on the A string, 5th fret on the D string, and 7th fret on the G string to go back around. So that transition is going to be like this. So you kind of hear it's like. So you may just want to practice that. I'm starting about halfway through the measure on beat 3 of measure 8. So that's where I'm going 5, 4, 5, 4, 5th fret on the A string and 4th fret on the G string. And then trying to shift back into the chord that we used at the beginning of the song. So what I would recommend there is that's a tricky spot, a tricky transition. So practice just that part. Right? So, and you can tell I'm getting a lot of string noise, which is one of the reasons I use the flat wounds on the recording. Also, I was just having trouble making it not muddy. It's a lot easier to have it be less muddy when you have an amp. because you can just kind of reduce the bass frequency on the amp as well as on the U-bass. So that's just kind of a little tip there. So let's practice just doing that transition, just going 5, 4. So 5 on the A string, 4 on the G string 2 times, and then jumping back into this 7th fret on the A string, and then get our other fingers ready after hitting that note. So whichever fingers you were using to do that part before, whether it was your ring and your middle or your pinky and your ring finger, just go ahead and get those set up right to play that 5, 4, 5, 4. Once again, 5th fret on the A string, 4th fret on the G string. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and shift. Right? So that was one part I had to work on when I was writing the song, just to get it smooth enough to not really disrupt the flow. So that's why I'm kind of going over that one again. Then you go all the way around the changes from measure 1 all the way through measure 6. And then the second ending is almost exactly like the first ending. The only difference is you really just stop at the last note of measure 7 and hold those notes out through measure 8. So let me just play the second ending first, and then I'll kind of go the whole thing real quick. Whoops. So that's that whole thing, second ending. So this is measure 9. So it's the same exact as measure 7, so I'm not going to go over that again. You can just rewind to that, or like I said, use the video from Tuesday to help you get that part there. So I'm going to play from measure 1 through measure 6, and then this time skip over measure 7 and 8 and go to measure 9, because that's the second ending. So here's how it sounds. 2, 3, 4, and then at that point we go into measure 11. So why don't we play through both endings? So we'll play from measure 1 through measure 8, back to measure 1 through measure 6, then we jump down to measure 9. So let's do that together at this tempo. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2, 3, 4. So I kind of botched one little part of it, but I kept the timing through it. If you'd like, I can do that again. Let me know in the comments, but I think it's pretty straightforward, and you can kind of use the other video and slow that down over there if you want to kind of play through that. So that, once again, that video from Tuesday was called Fingerpicking Song, I believe. U-bass Fingerpicking Song, if you need to find it. Just search that and it should come up. Awesome. Thanks, Alan. So next up, we have a totally different section. And this one's kind of weird. It uses a lot of hammer-ons and pull-offs, mostly pull-offs. But this part at measure 11 sounds like... Oh, I messed that part up, but you get the idea. That's way further down, so we'll get to that in a second. Let's just start with measure 11. So we've got this first part. So we got... So we're going to start by playing the 3rd fret on the E string. This is a little bit longer of a note than we've seen in the rest of the piece because we've been doing straight 8th notes where it's just 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, but on this one we hold that 3rd fret out through the and before hitting the next note. So 1 and 2, the next note falls on beat 2. So now that you get the idea on the rhythm of that, the rest are 8th notes in this little section. So 3rd fret on the E string, open G string. Oh, by the way, with the finger picking pattern, our thumb is going to get the E string notes as well as the A string notes. So our thumb will move back and forth between the E and the A string, and our pointer finger and our middle finger on our plucking hand will just still get the D string and the G string respectively. So let's practice doing that a little bit. Thumb on the E string, then thumb on the A string, then pointer finger doing the D string, and the middle finger still getting the G string. So just kind of keep that in mind as we go through. They're still assigned to a string. It's just the thumb can move back and forth between the A string. Hey, Alex, stopping in and saying hey. Hope you're enjoying your evening as well. We're in the middle section of the piece, which means we're pretty much halfway through the new material on it, which is kind of cool. So here we go again. 3rd fret on the E string from the beginning of measure 11. Then the open G string. 3rd fret on the E string again. 2nd fret on the G string. And now we're going to pull off to an open G string. So that was literally just my left hand. So once I've hit the 2nd fret on the, once I've plucked the 2nd fret on the G string, then I'm just pulling off. And it's almost like I'm plucking downward just a little bit and releasing that note. So from the 2nd fret to open. So hopefully that gives you an idea. If you're not familiar with pull-offs, I think I have separate lessons on that. You can also look them up just on any bass guitar video or any kind of tutorial based on that. But we've got the 3rd fret on the E string. Once again, I'll just go back and recap everything. 3rd fret on the E string, open G string, 3rd fret on the E string, 2nd fret on the G string with that pull off to the open G string. Then we hit the 3rd fret on the E string again. Then this time our pinky over here is going to get the 4th fret on the string, and we're going to pull off to the open G string. And then that's going into the next measure. So but since it's a pull off, I just want to go ahead and do that as part of that phrase. So let's try that much. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So it's kind of weird because we hold that first note out longer than you kind of expect. 1 and 2 and. See how I'm holding that first note out through 1 and then playing the next note on beat 2, but then every other note is getting played on just whatever comes next, a number or an and after that. So once again, I'll give you count in, we'll play it again. 3 and 4 and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay, so that 1 was the downbeat of the next measure, which is where we did that pull off to that open G string. So really this one's kind of weird to stop in the middle, but after we do that pull off, we're going to hit the 3rd fret on the E string, then the 2nd fret on the G string, pull off to the open G string, then hit the 3rd fret on the E string. Whoops, I don't know, I plucked hard. Don't pluck it that hard. And then we're going to play the open D string, hammer on to the 2nd fret on the D string, which if you don't know what a hammer on means, that's where we played the open D string, and then we just push down with enough force on the 2nd fret on the D string to have it come out without having to do anything else. If that makes sense. Oh, awesome. Super awesome wizard. Congratulations on your new, your first U-bass. That's going to be awesome when you get it. Which model did you get? Let me know in the comments, but I'm going to keep going. So after we do that hammer on from open to 2nd fret on the D string, D as in dog, then we're going to do a pull off back to the open D string. So it's a hammer-on pull-off combination. You only pluck the open D string, then you hammer onto the second fret, and then you pull off. So hopefully you can see that even though it's a little pixelated. I see what you're saying. It looks worse than it did earlier. I think it's going back and forth between being decent and then getting really pixelated. That might be my internet connection. Let me see if I can fix it somehow. There must be a program running that shouldn't be, is my only guess. Oh, can't really do anything about it right now. Sorry, guys. I'm probably just making it 10 times worse right now. Seems to be getting worse and not better, though. So that's kind of, I know that's frustrating, so apologize, guys. Maybe it just needs to be even brighter. Let's see. Probably not. Weird. Okay, so I'll just keep going from where we were. That was really the end of that phrase, that open D string, hammer onto second fret, and then pull off back to the open D string. So let's play measures 11 and 12 together. I'm going to play it first, and then we'll play it together a little bit slower. So that's it. So 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 2 and 3 and 4. So probably the hardest part of that is just leaving the third fret on the E string down the whole time with your middle finger on the fretting hand. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind as you go. All right. So let's just go ahead and go to the next part. So we've got. So now we're changing to the third fret on the A string being where our middle finger is. So here's what this part sounds like. Let me get a little bit cleaner so you can hear those pull-offs. And really, I like using these fingers. So it's a lot of pull-offs here. Third fret on the A string with our thumb once again. So our thumb's moving back and forth between the E and the A string on the plucking hand. Then we're going to play the second fret on the D string and pull off to the open D string. Then we're going to play the third fret on the A string. Then we're going to play the fourth fret on the D string and pull off to the open D string. Then third fret on the A string after that. I'm going to keep going even though that's the end of that measure because this is a phrase that just works better if we just keep going. Fifth fret on the D string after that. Pull off to the open D string. Third fret on the A string. Fourth fret on the D string. Pull off to open. Third fret on the string, and then second fret on the D string, and finally pull off to the open D string again. So let's play that together. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. I'm going to do that again for two reasons. One, because we need to know that that third fret on the A string is long. So that's a quarter note again. It's twice as long as the other notes. That first note that we play in measure 13. And the other reason is just so that we can play it cleanly together. So 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. When you do it quicker, it feels a little bit more natural once you get used to those pull-offs. So now let's play measures 11 through 14 because this part kind of repeats. So that should make it a little bit easier once we get through this section. So from measure 11 to measure 14 at a slightly faster tempo. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and happens again. Everything that we just played at measure 15 through 18 is exactly like measure 11 through 14. So I'm not going to go over that again, but it's just exactly the same thing twice. And then this next part's a little bit different, and we're at measure 19 at this point. So I'll just go over that. That's going to be the 5th fret on the D string, the 4th fret on the, 5th fret on the A string. I don't know why I said D string. So scratch that, measure 19, 5th fret on the A string, 4th fret on the D string, pull off to open, D string again, 5th fret on the A string, then 5th fret on the D string, pull off to the open D string, then 5th fret on the A string again, then we'll go to the 7th fret on the D string, then we'll pull off to open, D string again, 5th fret on the A string, 5th fret on the D string, pulling off to open, 5th on the A string, and then 4th fret on the D string, pulling off to open. And then we've got the 3rd fret on the D string to round that off. No, we don't. Technically we don't. Sorry. 4th D string, pull off to open. Don't listen to that last note that I said was actually wrong. Okay. Yeah, so if this was recommended to somebody that wants a U bass, I'm noticing the comments here, that's probably because it has U bass in the title, and not every video does. So not sure why it's still doing the pixelated thing, but I do see what you guys are saying now about that. So what I'm going to try to do is give up on the chat for a minute and see if it's the fact that my phone is also on the internet that might be slowing it down. So let me know if that changes anything or helps at all. But even if it does, I won't be able to check with you guys until after that. But anyway, back to measure 19. Let's just play measures 19 and 20 together. 3 and 4 and. Okay. And then here's measures 21 and 22. So it's another thing a lot like that. It's just starting on the 3rd fret on the A string, and I put my middle finger there. And then I do the 2nd fret on the D string, pull off to open. 4th fret on the D string, pull off to open D string. Oops, I think I left out the 3rd fret on the A string in between. So let's just do from the beginning of that measure again. 3rd fret on the A string, 2nd fret on the D string, pull off to open D string, 3rd fret on the A string, then the 4th fret on the D string, pull off to open, 3rd fret on the A string, 5th fret D string, pull off to open, D string, then 3rd fret on the A string, then 4th fret on the D string, pull off to the open D string, 3rd fret on the A string, 2nd fret on the D string, pull off to open D string. So let's play that part together. It's kind of familiar. We've already done this before in, measure 13 and 14, also in 17 and 18. So this part's just the same thing. So I'm going to go a little bit quicker. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So now let's play from measure 19 to there. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 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 3 and 4 and. Okay. So it's kind of tricky to play that slow. I feel like when you do the pull-offs a little bit quicker, it's easier. So let me play it fast just to give you an idea of what that sounded like. Okay. Then we go back and measure 23. It's the same as measure 19. So, and really that's the same as 19 and 20. So 23 and 24, the measures are the same as measures 19 and 20. So that's just this again. So we just played that, but I'll recap it real quick. 5th fret on the D string, 4th fret. I said D string again. I literally did this there too. A string, 5th fret on the A string. It's a D note. That's why I'm getting confused, in case you guys are wondering like why I keep doing that. So 5th fret on the A string, 4th fret on the D string, pulling off to the open D string. 5th fret on the A string, 5th fret on the D string, pulling off to the open D string. 5th fret on the A string, 7th fret D string, off to the open D string. 5th fret on the A string, 5th fret on the D string, pulling off to the open D string. 5th fret on the A string, 4th fret on the D string, pulling off to the open D string. And that's it for that pull-off section. So it's not too crazy. We're not going to play through that again, so we've already played that. Here's measures 25 and 26. This is like the last new information in the song besides the very, very last note of the song. So that's going to sound like this. Actually, I think I just stop on the 2, so that's to give you time to shift back to the other part. I can't remember on the original if I accidentally played that open or not, but either way, you don't have to, so that gives you extra time to shift. So this is going to be the 4th fret on the G string, open D string, then the 2nd fret on the G string, then the open D string, 4th fret on the G string, open D string, 5th fret on the G string, and then the open D string. You're just plucking each one of those notes. Once again, if it's on the G string, use your middle finger, and if it's on the D string, use your pointer finger. Still assigned the same way as the rest of the song. You might notice the way I'm shifting over here. I'm doing, I'm kind of leaving my hand in position until I get up to the 7th fret. So I'm doing the 4th fret with my ring finger on the plucking hand. Then my pointer finger is getting the 2nd fret on the G string. Then back to that ring finger, then pinky. Then I'm shifting my pinky up to the 7th fret. Then using my middle finger on the 5th fret of the G string. Then my pointer finger is getting the 4th fret on the G string. Then my pointer is shifting from that 4th fret back to the 2nd fret. To me, that's the strongest shift. So we got all in one position, then I'm shifting up to the 7th fret. All that in one position, and then shifting back down for the last 2nd fret on the G string. So let's do measure 25 and 26. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and shift 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and okay, and then from there on the music it says DC al coda. If you've never seen that before, the DC stands for da capo, I believe. I might be mispronouncing things, but it's Italian. It means go back to the beginning. So from that point, we just jump all the way back up to the beginning. And at this point, we play that intro, the same thing where we do the first ending, do the repeat, do the second ending after that. And then we'll go down to the coda, which is literally just one note. So I'm just going to go over that coda part, and then we'll play through the whole thing together. The whole entire song. So the coda, once we've done all that, where we go back to the beginning, play through that first section again, we jump down to the coda, and then we just literally go. And so all I'm doing there is playing the 3rd fret on the E string, and then I'm using my pinky finger to kind of bar the harmonics of the 5th fret of the D string and the 5th fret of the G string. So my pinky is touching lightly over the frets of both of those to get those two harmonics. So just do it right over the piece of metal itself, right? So if you've never done harmonics before, just be right over that piece of metal. And then my thumb is getting the 3rd fret on the E string. So at the same time. So one thing that kind of helps these notes to come out a little bit clearer, it kind of do a little roll with my fingers. So rather than plucking them all at the same time, I'm going thumb, index, middle, like in order. Thumb index middle. Only I'm doing it quicker. So if you can get used to going thumb index middle really fast like that, it kind of does a good job. And then when you're doing harmonics, they come out a little bit clearer if you're closer to the bridge. So you might want to, just for that one, move your hand closer to the bridge just to get those notes to ring out. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go from the beginning. So that's this part. But this is not the very beginning of the song. This is where we return to the beginning of the song. So it's going to sound like this when I go through the first ending, through the second ending, and then to the coda where I play that last part. So here's from the return to the beginning of the song all the way through that chord we just went to. Whoops, I messed it up. I'm going to play it one more time for you guys, and I want to sit a little bit more comfortably. Coda. Just play that last chord. So that wasn't the cleanest. I'm just going to go from the second ending through there just so you get an idea. My fingers are sweating, so they're sticking to the strings a little bit, just from having this light so bright. But so that's the idea. So that's the main thing that we could practice now that we've kind of done everything. Go back to the second ending is, and I'll just recap it in case you don't have it in front of you. 5th fret on the A string, open D string, 5th fret on the A string, open G string, 5th fret on the A string, 2nd fret on the G string, 5th fret on the A string, 4th fret on the D string, then let those notes ring out. And then we go to the coda. And that's that chord where we have the 3rd fret on the E string and then the 2 harmonics on the 5th fret of the D and the G string. So that'll sound like 2, 3, 4. So let's do that together. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and. So that's the idea. So we could play all the way through the piece, and I guess I should get your opinion on that. I'm hoping that not being on the chat kept that part clear, but we'll find out, I guess. I'll check in the chat now and see if that made a difference or if it was still just as pixelated. So just let me know, guys. Oh. It looks like it's not even showing me the it's not even showing me the chat anymore. So let's see. We've got this. All right. A mahogany journeyman. Nice. Very cool. So you got the one without the paint on it. That's really awesome. I think those look really nice. Okay, so we can go all the way through the song if you guys would like to, but just let me know what you'd like to do. I'm going to go at least from the return to the beginning through that ending note. And then I'm going to just play it through closer to full speed. And if you guys want to play along, I'll give it a count off as well. That sounds good. So this is going to be where it returns to the beginning, goes through the first ending, goes back to the beginning, jumps to the second ending, and then we jump down to the coda and play. If you're looking at the music, it's quite confusing. And if you're wondering where you can get the music, a printable version is on Patreon for patrons. And yes, that is a paid thing. So I'm telling you a free way to do it in case you don't want to do that. You can go to the video from last week, and there'll be tabs on screen that you can play along with. So if you wanted to, you could go to that and just pause it in these different spots. But if you saw it all as one sheet of paper, you'd see what I was saying about jumping from the first ending or jumping to the second ending. And yeah, I've got a whole lot of stuff on there if y'all are interested. So shameless plug, but here we go. Now we're going to do that last time where we return to the beginning of the piece, go through that whole song, and then jump down to the coda. 3 and 4 and. Whoops, I can't even play it apparently. I'm gonna go a little bit faster because that's just driving me crazy. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Repeat. Second ending. 2, 2, 3, coda. That's it. Cool. So hopefully that gives you an idea of how to do that. Now I'm going to play the whole piece, probably just a tiny bit faster than that, so that way you can hear all the sections in a row. If you want to have a play along on the screen for that kind of thing, at least full speed, I did release this last week with a play along. So that was called U-Bass Fingerpicking Song. Okay. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Measure 11. That wasn't right. Return to the top. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to go back to measure 11, so we're not gonna get the whole song quite in a row. I'm gonna go back to measure 11 because I messed up part of that. So somewhere in that section that starts at measure 11. So I'm gonna do a little bit faster. I'm gonna go from measure 11, do all that stuff again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. I did the same thing. So it was measure 15 that I messed up. So it's supposed to sound exactly like measure 11, and my brain just wanted to do a different pattern. So one more time for you guys. Measure 11. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and I did it again. Okay, so here's the correct rhythm. 1, 2, and I'm accidentally playing the second note as a quarter note too. So don't do that. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Back to the top. Okay, so hopefully that gives you guys a better idea of I at least got the part from measure 11 through measure 26 better, so that you guys can have that. I know it was a little bit faster too, but we'd already covered everything. So if you want to, you can go back just to the sections as they're broken down and kind of go through that. And then if you want a full play along at full speed, that is available on the video from last week. You can also use the YouTube app to do 50% speed or 75% speed. And I think 75% speed will be fine. 50% speed might be really annoying to listen to, but hopefully that gives you guys an idea. And hopefully it got less pixelated when I stopped looking on the phone. So let me know on here if you got any questions about that. Looks like the chat's still up. Awesome. Let's go through the whole song. Okay. So this will be uploaded for watching later, Phil, if you're still watching. So yes, this will be up for later. You might have to sit through a whole bunch of like weird stuff, and the first part might be a little bit pixelated, but hopefully it'll work out fine. And then so LZXN. If you play too hard over the rubber strings, it will get out of tune. Sometimes, yes. So basically, you want to make sure that the strings are stretched enough to where they like hold tune enough. And it just takes a while to stretch the strings out. You can do little things to speed up the process, like just lightly pulling on the string and pushing down. So it's like holding this up just slightly. Like, see how my finger's reaching under? And then with the other hand, pushing down a little bit. And then you can do that and retune on every string until they start to stay, which could take up to a couple weeks really with the pahoe strings. But the other strings usually tend to hold a little bit better, a little quicker than that. But they take a while to stretch out. And usually once they're fully stretched, they'll stay in tune better. But they might still go out of tune. So I'd say from day to day, you're still going to have to tune them. But usually just from day to day. So Phil says, I have an unrelated question. Any tips with muting? I'm struggling with the motor coordination for that. So it's kind of tricky. Muting with this technique that we just talked about is even harder because we're used to having the strings ring out. But with the other hand, what I do to mute is my thumb is usually resting on the E string if I'm not playing it, if I'm just plucking normally. So this is not the finger picking kind of guitar kind of thing that we were doing a second ago. This is more like just normal bass technique, but instead of resting our thumb on a pickup or a thumb rest, if you don't have a thumb rest, you can rest it on the E string while you're playing the other strings and just lift it up while you're playing the E. So that's a good way to mute the E string, right? With the other strings, it's a combination of right hand and left hand. But with the right hand, when I'm plucking, rather than kind of having my fingers curled like that, I have them more straight so that when I'm playing a string, I'm going to see if I can show you from the side. I don't know. That's kind of a weird angle. It's like when I play that note, the G string, my finger stops on the D string. If I play a note on the D string, it stops on the A string. So it mutes the string above it, right? So right hand can mute the E string, and it can also mute the string above whatever's being played over here. Then our left hand, we have extra fingers on our left hand. If we don't want notes to ring out on the G string and the D string, we can use a combination of a couple fingers. Because if you just use one, you might actually hit over a harmonic and have a harmonic continue to ring out. But if you use a couple fingers, it usually mutes it better. And so, like, let's say you're playing on the A string, and you're getting notes that are ringing out on the D and the G string. Well, if you want to, you can use the combination of the other fingers that are on your hand to stop that from ringing out. But it does take a lot of coordination, and for me, it just developed naturally over time. I didn't really think about it all that time. It's just like I think it annoys your brain enough to where your brain figures out how to do it. But that can take years if you're not actively trying. So I would say actively try these different muting techniques and see if they work for you. But that's really about all the tips I can give on that for now. If you're still frustrated with it and don't like muting, you can always get one of those little I believe what was the brand that makes them? But they're fret wraps, and they wrap around here. So you put a fret wrap on right here, and it's just like a little cloth thing with maybe a little bit thicker on one side, so almost like a spongy material, and it just goes across all of this and connects with Velcro. And you want to mute it from about here, so the strings would ring out more like that, rather than while you're playing the other strings. So that can kind of mute for you a little bit so that you're not having to do all of that as you're playing with both hands. So let me know if that helps you out. And does anybody have any other questions? Let me know in the chat below. It may or may not be updating. Say something in there, it'll let me know if it is. And then Wolfman27, what a pretty instrument. I think so too. So this one, just so you guys know, is the exotic mahogany U-bass. So I like that one a lot. It comes with the shadow pickup, which has less options. I think one of the downsides to this one is just you only have one tone knob, but it's a better pickup overall. So it's kind of like, it sounds really good, but you have less options on the instrument itself. So you might want an external EQ or the EQ on an amp. So hopefully that helps a little bit. Let's see. And then Phil's thank you. I'll give it some time and keep trying. Awesome. I hope that helps. So if you're doing the finger picking kind of thing where you're assigning one finger to a string, you could also just put the finger back if you're trying to mute. And that kind of helps mute too. But if you want to have the other technique to get the certain sound that you're going for, then yeah, you just have to use a combination of hands to do that. And you could also do the fret wrap. You could also do, I don't know if this would work as well because of the type of pickup, so maybe I won't even worry about that one. But on full-scale electric bass, some people would put a spongy material under here so that all the notes sounded kind of muted, which is why I think that the U-bass with the rubber string sounds, I say rubber, I mean polyurethane, sounds great for the Motown sound, is because it already has this muted tone to it. All right. Let's see. Now it says on the topic of U-bass, I got my Scout and it's awesome. Good. I'm glad. I got a set of the U-bass thumb rests from Kala and it's so useful. Yeah. So that's on topic with this. Since we were talking about muting and stuff, if you have the thumb rest, it won't give you that automatic muting of the E string, but you also won't have a whole bunch of string noise either. So it's kind of nice not having the extra string noise of your thumb hitting the E string and getting stuck to it and stuff. And you don't have to alter your electric bass. If you're using electric bass technique where you anchor on the pickup, then here you have a thumb rest, so that'll be good too. Awesome. Just use super glue. The adhesive sticker is not very good. Okay, good to know. If I decide to get any of those thumb rests, I'll keep that in mind. But I don't know if I want to super glue anything to the instrument if I don't know if I want it there permanently. So you got to make sure you want it permanently if you do that. But that's a good tip. I don't think there's anything wrong with that if you know that you're going to get it exactly where you want it and not have any issues with it. Then yeah, I think that is a good thing. I know with some of the other thumb rests for solid body electric basses, they just screw in. So yeah, adhesive doesn't really sound right for the amount of pressure most people end up putting on the thumb rest. But that's good to know. Cool. Well, guys, do you have any other questions? Just let me know. Any questions about the song? Anything else that you'd like me to go over on the song? Like I said before, there is printable versions of this on Patreon for patrons. So I just have like one level on the Patreon. That's the $5 level. So if you're interested, you can go there and do that. If you want to do it the free way, you could even do screenshots of the YouTube video. I don't care how you do it. It's just there if you want it. And once again, that video last week, I just titled it Fingerpicking or U-Bass Fingerpicking Song. And you can check that out there too. It has a play along with the tabs on the screen. So that about does it for me, unless I see a comment come through in the next minute. But I want to thank you guys once again for hanging out. I hope you've had a great week since the last time I saw you, and I hope you have a great week until the next time I see you. Once again, I'll have a Tuesday video coming up, and then the Thursday live stream every single week, unless I tell you guys otherwise ahead of time. So I'll see you guys Tuesday and then next Thursday as well. All right, have a good one.